the Slayer.
id Software have done it again, fellas. They've only just gone and released another certified banger. I genuinely don't know what I was expecting leading up to this. I mean, these guys never miss. Okay, nobody's perfect. If I was to give Doom the Dark Ages a rating right now, it'd probably be a solid 9 out of 10, and I'm only 10 missions in of the whopping 22 there is. The missions within the game aren't always linear either. Some of them are absolute behemoths in their size and exploration, but I'll get to that later in the video. Side note, I have finished the game now, and my rating still stands. Also, I won't be spoiling anything in this video, so you don't need to worry about that. To start with, I want to talk about how if you're going into the Dark Ages expecting more Doom Eternal, you'll be quite disappointed. See, this is a reason why I respect id Software so much. They aren't afraid to spice things up with each entry. None of these free games play the same. Hell, even Doom 3 back in 2004 plays differently, going for a much slower horror pace. It'd be really cool if they took this approach again. I'm gonna be honest, I would love to see a modern take on it. The Dark Ages also slows things down too. If you've played Eternal or seen footage, you can see that you need to play it like you've snorted a load of coke. You're basically a jet engine, which is very unlike how it is in the Dark Ages, where instead of a jet engine, you're a slow hulking tank. I say slow, you still run around at an incredibly fast pace. That feeling of being a tank mainly comes from the sound design of the Slayer. Like, you can physically feel the weight of his footsteps just from the sound design. Never mind when you fall on enemies, like... Personally, I do prefer Eternal over the Dark Ages because of this, but I don't think Eternal is objectively a better game at all. I'd say they're equal in terms of quality content, which, well, I think Doom Eternal is one of the best first-person shooters ever made, so... that's a good thing. The reason why the Dark Ages goes for a much slower pace compared to Eternal is because Mr. Doomguy Slayer has a shield now, which in a way kind of acts like a replacement for the dash in Eternal, which is a revelation I came to embarrassingly late into the game. See, Eternal is about moving so quick that you avoid every single demon and projectile coming your way. You can't exactly do this in the Dark Ages. You may still be fast, but you aren't fast enough. Especially with the amount you're expecting to avoid, you are bombarded with attacks and projectiles in this. So yeah, you're supposed to block instead of dodge, a mechanic you're taught at the start of the game. And I still tried playing it like Eternal originally and got my ass handed to me. I am a dumbass. When it all clicks though, it really clicks, and you get into that zen-like flow state you'd get into when you played Eternal. Unless you're Darkside Phil, he hated Eternal, and I can already tell he's not gonna like this one.
Oh, fuck this. That's horseshit.
The roster of weapons you'd expect in a Doom gamer here, and they all feel great, especially the iconic super shotgun, sounding probably the best it ever has in this. That is good shit. Although the weapon roster is probably a downside in the Dark Ages, because if you were to ignore the alternative versions of the weapons, this is probably the smallest roster a modern Doom game has. Which actually isn't a huge issue, because guns aren't your only tool to kill demons. You can actually use the shield by throwing it like a frisbee. Oh, I probably should mention that you don't just use the shield to block enemies either. You can parry incoming attacks that are highlighted to you in this distinct Proxidus green color. Doing so either reflects the projectile to the demon who was foolish enough to shoot it out, or if it was a close ranged attack performed by the demon, parrying it stuns them in place, allowing you to perform an enhanced melee attack on the poor fool. That's right, melee is an actual integral part for the first time in a Doom game. Hell, you even get dedicated melee weapons in this. Oh, and there's also this charge you can use for the shield, which creates a big ass shockwave and lets you cross a big distance towards a target. There's actually a lot of depth to the shield's mechanics. I barely scratched the surface here. This fucker is a character in on itself. Please put me down. I also really appreciate the fact they kept the whole Doom can run on anything trend for this game, because the port is, oh man, the port is good. It ran flawlessly on the highest settings, which is absolutely unheard of nowadays. It runs so well because it uses the id Tech engine, which is an engine that I wish every studio could use, because anything beats this fucking slop of an engine. Seriously, id Tech is like absolute witchcraft, I swear, because Doom the Dark Ages looks incredible, and there's so much detail almost everywhere, with so much going on. Not only are there particle effects flying around during fights, but there's also entire wars going on in the background during it, and none of this tanks the frame rate or causes any stuttering. The game didn't crash once either. This is insane shit, thank you id. And I have some good news for you, because you can actually get Doom the Dark Ages right now at a discounted price. Yeah, a brand new game already at a discounted price. That's crazy. And it's all thanks to Green Man Gaming. If you click the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can head on over to Green Man Gaming and get Doom the Dark Ages for 17% off. If you like what you've seen so far, definitely show Doom and id Software some support, especially for how high quality and content rich this game is. Also to show Microsoft that it's profitable, which means they won't pull the trigger on it and shut down id. I'm still bitter about this. Anyway, check out Green Man Gaming when you get the chance. It's not just Doom the Dark Ages they do nice discounts for, they also do it for other upcoming and released AAA games, as well as deep discounts throughout the entire storefront. Check the link below. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. An interesting choice that was made for the Dark Ages was the fact it feels way more story heavy compared to the others. I mean, Doom 2016 literally felt like it mocked the idea of even having a narrative. That's us both. With Doom Eternal kind of pushing more of a story, but it doesn't explain too much. The Dark Ages expands on this to an even further extent, trying to tell you a story. And to be completely honest with you all, I genuinely have no idea what is going on in this game. Which isn't a huge problem, because I don't know a single person who plays a Doom game for the story, and to be fair, I still enjoyed the cutscenes, especially the ones with the Slayer in them. He's always a joy to watch in his silent, brooding anger. None of the other characters are all too interesting though, in my opinion. Even the big bad, who's this geezer in a big red demon onesie. I couldn't even tell you his name. The cutscenes also jump around a lot, which feels kind of weird, because cutscenes in Eternal were always from the perspective or third-person perspective of the Slayer himself, so it felt way more cohesive. But the Dark Ages doesn't do this all the time, sometimes focusing way more on other characters I don't really care about. But this is a Doom game. Who plays Doom games for the story anyway, right? Oh, and something new for the Doom franchise that the Dark Ages does is it actually lets you ride one of the mechs that you see around the environment in extremely linear button mashy sections that honestly aren't all too great. The most fun I have in these sections is stomping around destroying all the structures around me like I'm Giant Clank in that one specific level in Ratchet & Clank 3. Honestly, I'd rather be playing that section right now than this. Another unique gameplay aspect of the Dark Ages is the fact you can also ride a dragon, which I honestly prefer to the mechs, which I think is an unpopular opinion. People seem to hate the dragon sections, and honestly, I was not expecting to like it because they don't look engaging. You freeze in place and shoot whilst dodging the occasional projectile in a certain direction. That's not the part I like though. What I do like though is the freedom of these levels, and the part where you're dodging and weaving through tight areas to chase and gun down demon ships for gold. I also appreciate the fact you land frequently throughout the dragon levels I played, turning it back into traditional boots on the ground sections where you're running and gunning through hordes of demons. The boots on the ground bits are like mini levels where once you're done, you fall back onto the dragon and move on to the next one. It was honestly a really good time, especially compared to the mech. Another new mission type are these open-ended levels, where you put into a semi-open world with a bunch of objectives you can tackle in different orders, which is kinda similar to that one mission in Doom 2016, just amplified by like a million. I have one more negative for this game that I want to talk about, and that's these turret sections. Why are there turret sections? Of all things you could bring back from games of the early 2000s, why fucking turret sections? What is this? Ratchet & Clank 3 again? It's still a peak game, and it's definitely going to be a contender for Game of the Year. At least for me. Honestly, id Software could release anything Doom related, and it would probably be a contender for Game of the Year no matter what year it is and no matter what else has come out. And because I respect them so much, I literally bought the collector's edition, despite the fact Green Man Gaming provided me a code, which means I own 2 copies of the game now. So instead of sitting on this key and doing nothing with it, I might as well give it away. If you want to enter the giveaway, just leave a comment down below and subscribe to my channel, and I'll respond to the winner on the 25th of May. I'll give the winner 48 hours to respond, and if they don't respond within that time frame, I will announce a new winner. Oh, and before I go, I just want to let you all know I have a second channel now where I upload random experimental content like 100% videos and even Let's Plays. So if you're looking for a long video you can just listen to in the background, you know, my second channel's right there. Anyway, thank you Green Man Gaming again for providing me a copy of the game, and I'll see you all in the next one.